Était-ce un indice que j'ai entendu à droite? Ce labyrinthe inconnu, je le redoute. Pourquoi suis-je enfermé dans cette énigme? Avec du statique, je dois décoder. Je trébuche, je trébuche, je trébuche. Merveille. Et si la réponse n'était pas sur cette route pour trouver la pierre...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Intimate Talks interview series. I'm Asi Efros, and our special guest today is Stephanie Bordas, a wonderful photographer and the owner of Brooklyn Boudoir. Hi, Stephanie. So nice
Hi.
to have you with us today.
So happy to be here.
So we're going to have fantastic conversation. I'm so excited. In my last interview, which was with Ellen Lewis, she already spoke about how important images are because she couldn't even sometimes write about the brand if images are not up to par.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to dive deeper in this topic. So, why do visuals carry so much weight when it comes to lingerie?
Well, we live in a swipe culture, right? If your content isn't going to stop someone in their scroll, that customer is going to move on. And we all know this. It's something everyone, I think, has in their mind. Lingerie in particular, I think, is as much about emotion as it is about product. Lingerie is about luxury, intimacy, confidence, desire, right? All of these things. So, yes, customers will buy lingerie for function, but I think more so how it's going to make them feel, right? Are they going to feel comfortable? Are they going to feel desirable? So, you're really not just selling lingerie, you're selling that feeling. And your visuals are what I think make people want to buy something before they can even touch something in their hands. So while you do want to communicate fit, I think you also really want to communicate that sense of fantasy.
Mm. If lingerie images are all about emotion, how do you portray emotion of intimacy or confidence through photography?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think the first thing you're going to want to do when you're having a photo shoot, you're capturing imagery, is just try to set the mood. Whether you're working with a regular client or you're working with a model, think what is the vibe we're going for and what does the room feel like? So you can use music, lighting, even your tone of voice when you're working with a model to create the atmosphere that you want. So, for example, dim lighting, soft music might encourage a mood of intimacy. Bright lighting, upbeat music maybe conveys some more confidence, right?
Mhm.
Then, when you're working with somebody, whether or not they're a professional model or not, I like to direct with actions, not just with adjectives. So, if you say to somebody, look sexy, I mean, that's intimidating. What does that even mean to people? That's a very difficult thing for a model to just do. So instead, I might say something like, close your eyes and imagine somebody you love just touched your hand. Or if we're going for confidence, maybe I would say, not look confident now. I would say, pull your shoulders back, stand up nice and tall, and imagine everyone in this room are applauding just for you. You want to kind of give them something to think about to create natural feelings. And I think when someone is feeling something, then it will start to be conveyed through the camera lens.
Mhm.
And then I also think you can look for the in-between moments. I mean, things don't have to be so exactly posed or perfect. I find a lot of the magic happens when you're just talking with somebody and they laugh or they kind of turn away. I never put my camera down because there is a lot of magic and a lot of really authentic feeling in those in-between moments. So I think having a good connection with the person that you're photographing is really important in order to get that. And making them feel comfortable and being clear with your intentions, then you guys can just sort of flow off of each other and capture some real magical photographs.
That's such a great advice. I know some, especially especially like not models, but somebody who hasn't been photographed before
Exactly.
and now they're being photographed in lingerie, they might feel a little, you know,
It's intimidating.
right?
Yeah, it can be intimidating. And I mean, I mostly photograph, I'll say real women. Everyone's a real woman, but non-models. And they'll
Mhm.
all say, "Oh, I don't know how to pose." And that's okay. The beauty is really when you start feeling comfortable and in your own skin, then for sure magical images will be created.
Oh, wonderful. Um, is there a is there a difference between editorial and lifestyle photography, and why do brands need both?
Absolutely. This is something I think we hear these words a lot and no one really knows what they mean. I would say that lifestyle content feels candid, feels natural, like you're peeking into somebody's real life. Maybe it's more relatable or approachable. Basically, it's showing how your product will fit into your customer's lifestyle. So it's oftentimes shot in a natural environment, like someone's home, maybe a cafe or a vacation setting. It's basically more of like a soft sell. You inspire your client by showing her how she might wear something. So for lingerie, that might look like someone in loungewear reading a book in bed, or maybe there's a little cozy bralette with a sweater over it, and she's drinking her coffee by a window. Something that she could see herself doing in her real life.
Mhm.
And then editorial content, I think, is a little bit more aspirational, maybe a little more high fashion, maybe a little more brand defining, more highly styled, a little bit more dramatic or artistic. Think about what you see in magazine spreads, bolder poses, intentional lighting, maybe just a simple backdrop or maybe a very luxurious
Mhm.
background, more of an aspirational sell. So with editorial content, I think you're saying, you know, this could be me, or I wish this were me.
Mhm.
This is who I want to be, whereas this is me in my daily life. So for lingerie, you might see, a campaign. Maybe it's a black and white, very contrasty, dramatic campaign. Or maybe you'll see campaigns that are like modern goddess or something like that, something a little bit more artistic and aspirational. But I think you do want to convey both to your customers, right? You want them to see themselves in your products, but you also want them to aspire to be something, to have, that feeling that you're portraying in your campaign.
And you're right. I actually wasn't sure that I knew the difference between editorial and lifestyle, and you finally just, it's so simple, like,
It is. It is simple.
right?
Yeah, it is simple. Lifestyle. What do you do in your life?
Right, exactly. And
Yeah,
that who you are and who you want to be. That's
exactly. Yeah.
perfect. So, what common mistakes do brands do when it comes to photography?
Well, I think everybody fancies themselves a photographer these days. And we're lucky. We all can be. But there are some things that you have to be really careful about, especially if you're trying to put your best foot forward in your product photography. So, some mistakes that I feel I see in this day, I think showing only one body type is a big mistake. You want to showcase diverse models. Customers want to see themselves in your product. So even if you think you have a certain woman in mind, you really do want to make sure anyone who's looking can see themselves in your work. I think an easy one to take care of is keeping your frame simple, a little more simplified. A cluttered frame looks yucky. I don't, it's a technical term. Simplicity is luxury, right? Nothing really kills a shot like a bunch of extension cords in the background or a messy looking bed when it's supposed to be neater. I mean, there's a time and place for something intentionally messy. That's kind of cool sometimes if it's intentional, right? But an unintentionally cluttered frame will just cloud your whole image. Um, I think overly posed or overly stiff customers in your photos, right? You want to encourage models to move a little bit more naturally. I think lingerie looks more desirable when it feels a little bit more lived in, as opposed to stiff and mannequin-like. And I think inconsistency, consistency really is important when you're putting imagery out there. And it keeps your customer clear on who you are. It keeps your feed looking really nice and aspirational. People want to look at a feed that is a little bit well curated. So I think, keeping the lighting style similar or the color story similar, just having in mind what you want your feed to look like and or your website to look like, and really keeping things consistent across channels.
Mhm. So, what brands can do today, like immediately, if
Right.
they have photo shoot planned and maybe, I don't know, tomorrow, what
Yeah.
can they do to to elevate their photography?
Yeah, some really quick tips that are easy and don't even cost anything. Um, Lighting first and foremost, you want to shut the top light in any room that you're in. I tell this to all my students. I always do it in my photography. Nothing looks worse than a fluorescent light bulb shining right onto somebody. It puts shadows in places you don't want them. It looks low end and tacky. So, number one, you're having a shoot tomorrow, shut that top light first and
Mhm.
foremost. I think ideally for fashion, lingerie. You want something to be nicely evenly lit. I think windows are always your best bet. They're not complicated. The sun is available to everybody. I would put somebody in front of a window. I'd have the photographer with their back to the window so that the product is just simply front lit. The details of the fashion can show. It's flattering on most people. And you can mix it up. You can turn your client maybe one direction or the other, but a generally soft front lit shot will flatter both your client and your product. I think keeping the background simple, like we were just saying, really eliminating clutter. It could be as simple as a corner or a wall, but nothing too complicated in the background. For me, I try to stick with a maximum of three elements in any shot. So if it's a color shot, I'll try to stick to three colors maximum. If
Mhm.
it's a black and white shot, I'll even think about three elements. It's your model, a bed, and a plant. And that's kind of it. You want to keep things, even in lifestyle photography, pretty pared down and simple so that it's an easy read in the photograph. And then I think, when you're shooting, think about stories, not just product, like we were just talking about with lifestyle photography. Yes, it's important to see the product, but also, you know, your photos should convey what your customer is going to feel when she wears your product. So, things you might have your client do or your model do is, you can have them encourage natural movement. They could walk, they could sit, they could touch their hair, they can adjust the strap, something that feels natural that they might be doing in the look that they're wearing. I think will always elevate your photography, make it just that much better.
So, what content do brands need for all the marketing channels and how to plan it best?
There are so many places to market now, and I know it can feel really overwhelming. I think no matter what industry you are in. So,
It does.
yeah, there's so much. There's so much we feel like we have to do, but there is a way, I think, to get it um, without too much stress. I mean, first, I would think your website is a major part of your brand and your customer experience. So on your website, you're going to want to think about polished product shots, right? You want front, back, side, crops that might show the fit, close-ups of the fabric, little special details of your product. All of those will benefit your website, I think, best. Then, of course, there's social media, especially Instagram, TikTok. Um, for Instagram, I would say lifestyle, a mix of lifestyle and editorial, really. Behind the scenes, you could even encourage user-generated content. So having people, wear your products and tag you or have a hashtag, something like that. And then, of course, there's stories, reels, and TikTok where you want to capture video, right? Movement, personality, brand authenticity. So it sounds like a lot, but I would say you really can have a mindset towards repurposing all your content. So one image can potentially be on your website as a hero shot. You could crop in if you needed to for a detail or an Instagram post. Um, you could potentially capture some behind the scenes of either your model or yourself. talking about the product. And that could be a reel or even some kind of video snippet in an ad, right? So when you are starting to put together this list of what you want to accomplish, definitely plan for multiple platforms, right? You can shoot a mix of wide shots, close-ups, details, anything you can do to really maximize your content and the variety of your content without having to add too much more photo shoot time in, right? You maybe want to shoot a little wider than you would normally, thinking that you could do a banner post or a Pinterest post or an email header, something like that. So always think, how could I repurpose what I'm doing? And then, of course, when it comes to video, you want to make sure if you're capturing something horizontally, you're also going to capture it vertically because unfortunately, YouTube takes horizontal videos and Reels and TikTok take vertical videos. So it's a quick little shift of your camera, but it'll give you a lot more opportunity for repurposing later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And what can you say about photography outside? Even though lingerie sometimes, often not an outside photography, but still, I mean, somebody told me before that outside photography it always works because the light is so amazing.
I mean, you can't beat the sun
Mhm.
ever. So I am certainly not against outdoor photography. I think it's a great idea. I think it could be really aspirational. I mean, being out in the world in your lingerie or in swimwear, I think feels really good to people. People would want to see themselves in that place. I think tips for outdoor photography, if you are more of a beginner at photography, which I think most of us are, you want to look for somewhere in open shade, right? You don't want too harsh sunlight to be hitting your model. Certainly you want to be well illuminated, but shade, people are afraid of shade and it's nothing to be afraid of. You can still get really beautiful, even and clear photos with an iPhone in a shady spot. I might, if it were really sunny, I mean, everyone talks about golden hour, and I think most people know what that means, but essentially, you want to shoot, if possible, when the sun is either just coming up or about to go down. If you can't do that, you'll want to avoid just that direct overhead sun. It's the same effect as the top light. So if the sun's right above you, it's going to leave unfortunate shadows, especially on your model's face, and it's not going to look its best. Also, models might have a hard time not squinting. It's not going to give you the most aspirational look. And I would also say this is something a lot of people also won't do because they think the photo will be too dark, but I will always shoot into the sun. So I'll put my client between my lens and the sun. I'll shoot into the sunlight, and people will say, no, no, but she's going to look so dark. But there are ways, even with iPhones, to adjust the exposure so that she doesn't look too dark, but instead is really evenly lit. She doesn't have to squint, and the sun in the background gives a really beautiful glow. It's something a lot of people are afraid to do, but I would challenge you to try it because it's going to look great.
Oh, that's amazing advice. I love outside photography. I think
Yeah.
like the greenery or the
Yes.
ocean on the background,
Oh, yes.
like something just
Yeah, I don't get to do
elements
it
are
enough. I don't
amazing.
get to do it enough. Yeah, but it's
Mm.
so true.
So if a brand has time for only one photo shoot a season, how would they maximize it?
I think this is a great question. I was a producer before I was a photographer, so I love planning and coming up with shot lists and really figuring out how to maximize a day if you only have a day. And a lot of us do only have a day. We only have limited budgets or limited amounts of time. So I do think there's a way to be really smart about that photo shoot day. And I think if you are, you can probably get, I would say, like 2 to 3 months of content. I think you can get a whole season really of content in one day if you're smart about it. So, things I would do. Well, I think the first thing is choose your team really wisely. You're going to want some help if you're going to have such an ambitious day. So you can be the photographer or not. You can hire a photographer that you trust that is on board with your ideas. Or you can shoot it yourself. Either way is okay. I do think it's important to have somebody else with you, either an assistant or just someone to keep you honest if you are the photographer, because you want someone looking at each frame with a fresh set of eyes. Maybe they can see something that you don't. You're concentrating on the model, but you want someone there who can concentrate on if there's any flyaway hairs or some things in the frame, an extension cords in the frame. Can it be dealt with in Photoshop later? Yes. Is it better to get everything right on in camera? Yes, absolutely. Or someone who's looking out for the lingerie while someone else is photographing the client. So I think having someone, a wing person there always will help. This could even be the hair and makeup artist. I do think you're going to want a hair and makeup artist that you trust and who also understands your customer. So that's just kind of the basics. Um, when you consider your shot list, I would say organizing your shoot from simplest look to more glamorous or more complicated, right? It's a lot easier to build up your styling rather than take away. So I would start with, yeah, the simplest, most natural looks and kind of work my way up to something more glamorous if that's something that's going to be done. I would plan for probably 30 minutes plus or minus for each look that you have. I would plan to use natural light, or if that's not a possibility, constant light, rather than strobes, because you're going to want to capture both photographs and video, and keeping the lighting for both consistent,
Mhm.
is going to be important. And strobes aren't going to work for video content. So I would say keeping the lighting consistent one way or another is going to benefit you for sure. So then for each look, I think try to think of it like this. I would start with that hero product shot, right? The model comes out of hair and makeup, she's fresh. So you're going to want to get your website shots of the product, the details. You're going to want to remember to have front, side, and back views. I usually shoot 5 to 10 images in each kind of pose with little tweaks in between, a slight difference of expression or a slight difference of hand placement, something like that. I'll make sure I have these safe shots right out the bat, the ones I definitely know I need. And once I know that I have those safe shots, I will start getting a little more creative, a little more experimental when it comes to either the posing or my camera angles or something like that. Then you're going to want to capture with that same look, you're going to want to capture some video content. Now, what I like to do is capture my horizontal videos still with my regular camera, right? The same camera that I'm taking photographs. It's a flip of the switch. And if you're keeping your lighting consistent, you're able to just very seamlessly go from stills to video. And the videos don't have to be complicated. You don't have to tell, you're not making a movie. It could be just 10 to 20 seconds of the model walking towards the camera, like we said earlier, adjusting the strap, flipping her hair, maybe a twirl, sitting to standing. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? But you want to capture those horizontal, either YouTube videos or website videos on, I think, that same camera that you've been shooting. Then, still in that same look, you want to get your social media content. So that could be something as simple as pulling out the iPhone. And she does the exact same things with her, that you're shooting on your iPhone vertically that you can use for Reels and TikTok and stories. Then still in the same look. And I know it sounds like a lot, but this really can be accomplished in, I think, 30 minutes per look. Then
Mhm.
you're going to want to do something a little more lifestyle-y. And again, you don't have to make this complicated. You don't have to have a whole set built out. You could, but you can also just move the client from a backdrop just to a window, right? She's looking out the window. You take a few stills. Maybe she's drinking her coffee. And then you do the same process of video. So you do your stills, you do your website horizontal videos, and then pull out the phone and do some social media videos, right? And you kind of keep that pattern throughout all of the looks. I also think it would benefit you to have an assistant or even a tripod set up that will always be capturing behind the scenes of the photo shoot itself, because these are always gold. You're not going to use hours and hours of it, but you can edit together a really cute, BTS reel of the photographer, the model. So definitely also think about those social first shots, right? The model's laughing, a stylist is adjusting something. People love to see that. So that's how I would structure it. I would also utilize the time that the model is in hair and makeup if you only have one model or if you have two. Either way, when you have a little break, when the model needs a touch up, I would think about really simple product shots, even like lay flat shots, a styled scene, maybe even take a still of the lifestyle set that you've got going on, things that aren't necessarily model first, but product first, or maybe it's a candle, mood first photos. All things that you can use here and there, particularly in social, um, just to add a little bit more variety to what you're doing. And it gives you good storytelling. I know that sounded like a lot. It sounds more intimidating, I think, than it really is.
I think it sounds amazing because I now in my head, I just imagine immediately where all these images and videos can be used. And it is a season worth of content in one day, in one photo
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah. And you just stay structured in your own mind, right?
Mhm.
Photos on your good camera, video on your good camera, lifestyle photos on your good camera, or frankly, your iPhone would be fine too. I think for social media, it's perfectly sufficient to also shoot on your iPhone. I wouldn't shoot your, iPhones are actually pretty good right now. I think it's not the quality of the iPhone that I am weary of for websites. I think the lensing on the iPhone is not the most flattering for most people. Anyone who's hated a selfie of themselves, I think, can relate to that. There is something powerful about a proper lens, um, which is more important than the camera itself. So I would say use a proper camera with a proper lens for the more formal shots. I think for social media, yeah, you could use your iPhone if it helps speed up your flow also. But making sure you get your video on iPhone for socials, that's quick and easy. We all know how to do it, and it's nothing to be afraid of.
Fantastic. While listening to you, I start missing my photo shoot days. And photo shoot is such a magic creator, you
It's so
know.
much fun. I mean, especially when you're in a great flow and you know you're getting something really special, the model's feeling it. Like you feel so powerful and proud. And isn't that what it's all about when you're creating a brand?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think feeling translates.
Yeah,
Feeling definitely of the photo shoot translates into images. Absolutely.
yeah, I completely
Um,
agree.
Yeah, no, it's a pure magic creation,
Yeah,
photo shoot. Um, okay, three parting questions.
yeah.
So, if your camera could talk, what it
Hmm.
would say about you as photographer?
Oh, well, I think my camera knows that while I love it, the magic is not in that camera. The magic is in the relationship between the photographer and the model or the client. Or maybe for a brand, I would say the customer. Three different photographers could take a photo of the exact same person in the exact same place with the exact same settings on the camera, and still that photo would be different because a photograph is really about the relationship between the photographer and the person that they're taking the photo of. And that relationship's going to be different across all different people, right? So I think my camera would say that I have really good connection with my clients and that that's where the real magic is. When someone feels comfortable, um, that's when they're really let themselves shine. So I think that's where my biggest strength is.
So true. The
It's absolutely the
secret
secret.
sauce and
Yeah.
behind, yeah, connection.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, and I think models will say the same thing. You hear models talk about how much they love working with one particular photographer or another, and I think it's because of the way that photographer makes them feel. I mean, they're beautiful and they're going to look beautiful no matter what, but it's more than that, isn't it? Because if you're feeling uncomfortable, um, you're just not vibing right with somebody, or if you walk into a shoot having a bad day, you want a photographer who you can trust to, gently get you out of it, gently get you back into the headspace that you need to be. I mean, I'll tell my clients if they come in and they say like, oh, I have this zit or something's wrong in their minds. It may or may not show up on camera, but the way they feel is what's going to show up really on camera. And that's something that you cannot Photoshop away. A pimple I can Photoshop away.
Right.
A really bad, uncomfortable feeling, I cannot. So I really do think that's the secret to strong photography is having a great connection with your clients.
Wow, absolutely. Um, so what's your guilty pleasure when you're not behind the lens?
Mm. Oh gosh, my guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty about my pleasures. Um, when I'm not behind the lens, I mean, I live in New York, like, a lot of us do. I love New York. I love going out to eat. I have two young kids, but I'm very determined to teach them how to live in a city like New York, how to go to restaurants and not be annoying to everybody else. And so I think I spend a lot of time playing like we're going to a restaurant with them at home so that then we can go out to restaurants and
Mhm.
enjoy good food. I don't want a kid who's just going to
Mhm.
eat, you know, French fries and white pasta. And so far I've succeeded in that. So yeah, taking my kids out to restaurants that most people would never consider doing, I guess, is maybe one of my guilty pleasures.
Okay, and what is just yours? What is your
Just
own guilty
just for
pleasure?
me, I will go out to a restaurant and just sit there by myself. I'll go to the bar and just sit by myself and enjoy some quiet time and refresh and rejuvenation time. I think that's also really important, especially when you give so much of yourself.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I love a solo dining experience.
Oh, yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen it so much in France.
Yeah.
Women were just sitting by themselves and enjoying their food, and I'm like, that's interesting concept.
It's amazing. People
Yeah.
watching, sitting. I love how they do it in France, where they'll sit facing out, towards the sidewalk and just not
Mhm.
looking at your phone,
Yeah,
looking out at the world. And
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I'm a big people watcher.
Yeah, me too. I love,
Mm.
love watching people. Uh, if you could photograph anyone, past or present, in lingerie, who would that be and why?
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, the first thing that came to mind is this is maybe a really contrite answer. I would want to photograph Madonna. Madonna has no fear. I mean, even she just had her birthday. I think she's been at top of my mind. I've been a Madonna fan for a really long time. And she's always amazed me with how she just doesn't mind what other people say, or at least she doesn't show that she minds what other people say. And that gives her the freedom to really do incredible, amazing things. I mean, she's produced some great art in lingerie, and I would love to feed off of that energy. I also think I would like to photograph. I mean, she's passed away now, but Iris Epfel, the style icon, was over 100 when she passed. And she also was so confident in her style and in her not wanting to be the same as everybody else. And I love that. And I love the idea of photographing women 70, 80, 90 in lingerie because they also deserve to be seen and to feel celebrated. And I think there's not a lot of people who do that.
Mhm.
And I think it really is important. And I really think it's something that people ought to see. So an
Absolutely.
octogenarian plus, if it couldn't be
Yeah,
Iris.
yeah,
Uh,
but I think that age actually brings the most confidence to a woman. It's the age of confidence.
I love that. And I hope that that's true because we
Mm.
deserve it. We spend so much time not feeling confident that I hope, I mean, I certainly am feeling confident now in my 40s, and I hope it just keeps on that upward trajectory.
Yes, yes. I can tell it will.
Yeah, yeah.
I just turned 60 this year. It absolutely,
Amazing.
thank you. It absolutely gets stronger.
I love that. I love that. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. It was a most amazing conversation, and you've revealed so many secrets and so many mentioned so many amazing concepts about photography, content creation. I feel like I live more in this digital world these days than in the real world sometimes, some days. So that's where we, find inspiration, and then that's where we, I don't know, showcase ourselves, where we sell our products and where we
Yeah.
learn. And
It's true,
so,
business
yeah.
and personal, right? It's
Mhm.
so big a part of our lives now.
Right. And you taught us how to do it well. So thank you so much.
Well,
Appreciate.
it's
Yeah.
absolutely my pleasure, Asi. Thank you so much for everything. I love what you do, and it was my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Where can people find you?
Oh, the best place to find me is, I think, on Instagram. My handle is at Brooklyn Boudoir. You can also find me at the same website, brooklynboudoir.com. And I've got some education resources that I keep on building and adding to a library of video courses and PDFs. And that website is stephaniebordas.com, my name.
I've seen some of your tutorials and they are fantastic.
Thank you.
I
Well, to
wish I was
me,
a photographer.
to me,
Yeah.
you mentioned that I spilled some secrets, and to me, there are no secrets. I think when
Mhm.
we lift each other up and teach each other, everybody gets stronger. And so it's been a lot of fun teaching other photographers, the skills that I have. And I love to learn at the same time. So it's all been great to get a little bit more into education as well.
Absolutely agree. And thank you. Thank you so much for that and for being so amazing.
Well, my pleasure, Asi. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.